Cameron. From one ex-label mate to another, Jay-Z and Cameron's history goes way back to the 90s. You gotta know, Jay and Cam were running New York's rap game back then. But things took a turn, and the beef got real. Cam broke it down on The Breakfast Club, saying Jay's energy shifted after he got left off the hit single, Oh Boy.
You know, I see Jay at the studio and I'll be like, let's do a song, let's do this. And he'll just look at me like, just like that, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, you know what I mean? So, then we just started heating up, you know what I'm saying? And he just like put himself on a couple records, but I wasn't feeling what he did, so I took him off the song.
Oh Boy, they say you took him off Oh Boy?
Yeah, I wasn't feeling the verse, so, and I'm not dissing him, man. I like Jay's music, he's dope or whatever, but I just wasn't feeling the verse, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna lie about it. And then it really went south, like he went somewhere, son, and Dame like offered me the job to be like vice president.
The vice president, I remember that. He went on vacation and Dame made you vice president of Rockefeller.
But he didn't even consult with Jay-Z.
He made me an offer, and I felt, Jay-Z probably felt that they didn't consult with him, and like everything kind of went south from there.
In 2006, Killer dropped a diss track called Swagger Jacker. It was a compilation mix of every song that Jay-Z stole lyrics from, going back and forth from the original MC to Jay-Z, and it's a pretty extensive list.
I went down south and discovered some. Even if this dude come back, I don't think he wrote nothing, ever. You like Mark McGuire on steroids, man. You hit a whole bunch of home runs and you on steroids. You don't write shit.
He continues after to expose every song and artist he has taken lines from, including Big L, Tupac, Slick Rick, Nas, BG, Rakim, and Big Daddy Kane.
Listen, man, your own flow is foolish. What flow do you have, man? Even if you come back, I don't even believe you wrote it. You probably stole it from James Brown in '66 and all that. You probably stealing it from Frankie Lyman and all that, big. You're old school ass, stealing ass, swagger jacking ass, dipset, folk.
On his podcast, It Is What It Is, Cam shared his 2 cents on Jay's relationship with hip-hop.
I believe that Jay-Z, to me, my personal opinion, is not in love with hip-hop. I think he likes hip-hop a lot. I think he likes money more and opportunities to take his brand to the next level. And some of the stuff that may have been going on in Hip Hop 50 may have not been up his alley.
And let's not forget the track, You Got to Love It.
Dipset. Before I set it off. Okay. First off, you a bitch. Only reason I'm doing this, I'm gonna just name 5 reasons real quick. Got 150. You stole Rockefeller from Dame. Second, you stole Kanye from Dame. Third, you stole Rockaware from Dame. Fourth, I seen it throw that diamond up before them shots was fired. Fifth, hold on, turn the beat off. I had to turn the beat off for this. You talking about you an 80s baby. You 37 years old. You was born in 1968. And I opened the Daily News. How's the king of New York rocking sandals with jeans? Open-toe sandals with charcletas with jeans on. How's the king of New York rocking sandals with jeans? And
The stylist Neva, when she's fixing somebody's collar, I don't know what may happen next time.
So picture this. It's March 2026.
Okay.
And you just open your phone.
Right.
And the timelines are just completely melting down.
Oh, I remember. Just absolute chaos everywhere.
Right. Because you're watching 2 of the most, elusive and intensely private titans in the entire history of hip-hop, Jay-Z and J. Cole.
Yeah.
And they both dropped these massive, culture-stopping interviews on the exact same day.
Literally within hours of each other.
Exactly. And of course, the internet immediately screams sabotage.
Naturally, because that's what the internet does.
Right. But, I mean, if you actually strip away the Stan Army noise and, the conspiracy theories and all that algorithmic outrage.
The stuff that just drives engagement.
Exactly. If you ignore that and look at the raw text of Jay-Z's GQ sit-down right next to J. Cole's explosive hours-long conversation with Cameron on the Talk with Flea show.
Which was huge in itself.
It really was. But if you look them together, along with some really fascinating analytical texts that break down the fan narratives, a completely different story emerges.
A much darker story, honestly.
Yeah, a story about what it actually takes to survive the absolute top floor of the rap game. And, the psychological toll of staying there.
It's heavy stuff.
So we're doing a deep dive specifically tailored for you today. We're going to look at the truth behind the sabotage theories, how both men survived the most toxic rap beef of the decade, and how they protect their mental peace amidst lawsuits.
And ultimately, what winning actually looks like when you've reached that level of success.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this.
So the timing alone is what makes this whole collision so fascinating. I mean, you have J. Cole stepping out of his usual reclusive state, right?
Which he rarely ever does.
Right. And he sits down with Cameron specifically to publicly squash this lingering lawsuit.
Yeah.
It's this massive exercise in vulnerability and conflict resolution, and literally at the exact same moment.
The exact same day.
Yes. Jay-Z emerges from the shadows with this sprawling GQ piece, and he basically plants a flag in the ground and declares 2026 is all offense.
Which is such a crazy contrast. I mean, Cole is sitting there playing the peacemaker, trying to de-escalate a legal battle.
While his former boss is publicly announcing a tactical offensive.
Yeah. And because of the history between these two, I mean, the internet just immediately put on its collective tinfoil hat.
Oh, for sure. The dominant fan theory that caught fire within, minutes was that Jay-Z intentionally dropped this massive interview just to step on J. Cole's moment.
Like the boss intentionally overshadowing the protege.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is that this isn't just some random spark of paranoia, you know?
No, it's got roots.
Right. That narrative is built on over 15 years of kindling. When you analyze the commentary surrounding these two, you really have to separate three things.
Okay, what are they?
The documented facts, the actual statements from the artists themselves, and then this massive swirling cloud of fan speculation.
Which is usually the loudest part.
Always. But the sabotage theory requires us to rewind the clock all the way back to 2009.
Oh, wow. Right back to the beginning.
Yeah, right when Roc Nation was just getting off the ground.
Because J. Cole was the very first artist signed to Roc Nation. He was, supposed to be the flagship rookie.
Exactly. But his early career wasn't this seamless rocket ship to the top like people assume.
No.
What they all say, can't stop me with rumors. I'm turning strong all day, socks floating, sweatpants boxes bulging, holding it down on the corner of my block posing. My spot rolling, drop the price of the coking, stroke the competition out, let the dope flow in. Cops is closing in. I can do the time, but what's really on my mind ain't no holes in the pants. I play the low end, try to make it hard to find me. They're still trying to build a case since 93.
Yo, moves to spade. Hey, that's just how it is. When my time is up, I'm gonna be out, but I'm gonna try to live. I mean, day by day, ain't nothing sweet about it. Act like you don't know what I'm saying? Read about it. Built for war, like an armadillo. Smoking your ass, the truth through the pillow. So my is real. Manic depressive in my head hurts. No, give me your dough and your hoe in here. Take these fuck hot things. I got things that make a spin. Put it in the wind where you never see again. I bless it with stitches, the thin tight, and a straight razor will put pinstripe across your windpipe.
Their beef started way back in the early 90s. Word is, it all went down in the Bronx during a legendary rap battle between the two, which ended in a draw.
Jay and DMX battled for hours, and guns was pulled out, and, it was very tense, but it was real hip-hop. Nothing happened, and we all kind of had admiration for each other because we had an equal amount of respect. It ended up being a tie. They said they won, we said we won, but it wasn't no clear-cut winner.
I still won. I mean, but I learned that during that battle. You know what I'm saying? I drove away from Baltimore for that battle and went right back. I mean,
their competitive spirits clashed, and the divide happened. Fast forward to Jay-Z running Def Jam as president. DMX had some choice words in this Breakfast Club interview.
Let's go back a little bit. Now, you sold millions and millions and millions of records, and then all of a sudden you slowed down. It just seemed like you just stopped. Was it the fact that you had a problem with Def Jam? Was it the producers? Was you, with Rough Riders? What made DMX stop recording? And so we being truthful because we want to know. We haven't heard from X in a long time.
Yeah, I know the story already. You know what I'm saying? You used to be my dog. You was in my left titty. Scream right or die. I thought you would die with me. What happened was, like I said, I had the crazy track record, Def Jam. Everything was good. I go to do the 6th album, and
Jay-Z became president.
Yeah. When he first got the job, he hit me with the call like, "Yo, dog, inmates just running the building." Like, "Yo, you good?" Finish the album, shoot the video. What happened? On vacation, and we don't know. What you mean you don't know? How do you listen to a whole album, pick a single, shoot a video, then don't know? Okay, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition. Because at first you retire, then get me off the label. Now you're back rapping again. Okay. It's all good. That's all good.
They all, everybody knows you've had battles with drugs throughout the years.
Yeah.
So at the time, they were saying that, you was on drugs. That's why they didn't want to invest in you.
Right. They already invested. What you mean they didn't want to invest? They already invested. Like I said, the album was recorded, shot the video, everything. That was just some bullshit. You know what it was.
Do you ever feel like
get rid
people?
of the competition.
Do you ever feel like people at the label didn't do enough for you when they could tell that you really needed help, or do you think that you were too far gone?
No, I was never too far gone. I mean, it just all I needed was just do me like you do everybody else. You don't sit there and you know, speculate about this and think about this and assume this. Just do me like you do everybody else, and it's gonna be all right, man. You know what I mean? But that never happened.
So I think with DMX too, you never, Def Jam, I feel, never put a lot into DMX. It was always the groundwork with DMX. It was kind of like where he was from, just spread it across the, like, it was never like, they never spent.
I don't think they expected it.
Yeah, they never expected it. And then when it hit, it was like,
man.
yeah.
Get out with the first album, Get At Me Dog.
Yeah, they never expected that from DMX.
In this next clip, X gives a little more insight on how he feels about how everything went down without naming names.
Yeah.
Man, put an album out in a minute, man. Where you been, man? What's going on?
I've been chilling, man. I mean, I really can't with cat. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I had to like step away from before I like pounded a few one out. You know what I mean? You know, and that, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. I talked to Mace about it. You know what I'm saying? Because I know my true call in life is to be a pastor. You know what I'm saying? So I talked to Mace about it, and I'm like, yo, you know, I'm trying to deal with these fake ass in the industry, and you know what I'm saying? You know, I'm killing somebody. And he's like, yo, as long as you have that talent, you know what I'm saying? You don't have the right to say whether or not you want to use it. You know what I'm saying? That's God's gift to you, and as long as you have it, you have to use it. It made a lot of sense. I was like, yeah, you're right. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you know what I mean? I've been through worse than dealing with fake ass before. You know what I'm saying? If that's all it is, I could do that for God. I mean, I could do that for him. You know what I mean? And, you know, that's why I decided to keep it moving, you know what I'm saying? Because, yo, every day, man, it's like, you know, I'm a hood, so I come to the hood, you know what I'm saying, on a regular. And every day it's like, yo, when you gonna come up with another album? You know what I mean? When you hit the X, the game needs you. And the more they say they need me, the more I realize that, you know what I'm saying? Yo, this is my purpose, man. This is my place. You know what I mean?
So you back now?
Yeah.
I mean, you with Def Jam and Nine, or what's going on?
I'm with Sony now. I'm with Sony now, you know what I'm saying? And I had to get a go over Def Jam. Like,
what happened, man? He was over there for years.
Cats playing games, so I'm going raw, run up in that building and kick down the door. Y'all don't want no problems with X. Y'all want to see them fall, they get beats with them collars on their necks, or downstairs with the text. You know the rest. What's wrong with that? Take respect. Dog hot. That's why them cowards froze me quick. I pop up, catch some cozy with Chinese slippers and silk scarves on. I ain't trying to get his bark on you. Wonder why the dog gone. I couldn't take it. Come on, man. Real talk. Right. So, man, what did you know?
He struggled immensely to get a mainstream hit. Like, the narrative out there was that Jay-Z and the Roc Nation execs just kept rejecting his songs.
Telling him they weren't strong enough for mainstream radio.
Right. And he didn't get his big commercial breakout until Workout. And even that came with his huge psychological tax.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, we saw the fallout of that later on the track Let Nas Down, right? Where Cole explicitly laid out the creative tension.
That tension between wanting to be a pure underground lyricist.
Yeah. And the crushing corporate demand to produce a kitschy radio hook.
The pressure was just existential for an artist like him.
Yeah.
Because he viewed himself as this torchbearer for lyrical hip-hop.
But the label needed a return on their investment. I mean, it's a business. So the way I look at the fan interpretation of this dynamic, it's kind of like a parent teaching a kid to ride a bike.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Right. So the cynical view, the one that drives all these sabotage theories, is that Jay-Z was holding onto the frame of the bike so tightly that the kid couldn't pedal fast enough to actually outpace him.
Like he was artificially keeping Cole in check?
Yeah, to protect his own legacy. But then, when you actually read Jay-Z's stated philosophy in that GQ piece, he claims his approach was the exact opposite.
He does. He says he believed in Cole enough to take the training wheels off completely.
And let him find his own balance. He literally uses the phrase, I really fall back.
He insists it was a conscious developmental choice.
Wait, hold on. Let's really look at that for a second.
Yeah.
Because I have a hard time buying that it's just pure altruistic mentorship.
You're skeptical.
I am. I mean, when the CEO of your label, the person literally signing your marketing checks and deciding your release dates, when that guy is also historically one of the most fiercely competitive rappers to ever touch a microphone, how do those two roles not violently collide?
It's a fair question.
You know, you're asking an apex predator to nurture a younger apex predator in the exact same ecosystem. There has to be a natural conflict of interest there, doesn't there?
It's a very compelling argument, and it's honestly the exact reason the fan theory has such incredible staying power today.
Because Jay-Z's whole persona was built on out-hustling everybody.
Exactly. But we have to look at the mechanical reality of the modern music business here and the actual documented overlap of these two events.
Right.
Because when you strip away the romanticized idea of the rap game as this, like, Shakespearean drama, there is zero material evidence of intentional overshadowing.
Really? None whatsoever.
None. I mean, think about how Jay-Z operates today. He functions primarily as a CEO and a legacy architect, right?
Yeah, he's basically a historical figure at this point.
Exactly. So his moves are meticulously calculated, but they're focused entirely on his own historical rollouts.
Like the 30-year anniversary of Reasonable Doubt.
Exactly. This GQ interview was heavily tied to that anniversary. It was a retrospective victory lap for him.
And J. Cole's on a completely different frequency.
Right. Cole operates with this intense, almost monastic seclusion. He doesn't coordinate with the broader industry calendar at all.
He just drops when he feels like it.
Yeah, so the fact that these two interviews dropped on the same day is really just a byproduct of the modern attention economy.
Just coincidence.
Yeah. There are only so many days in a week, and every major cultural figure is competing for the exact same digital bandwidth.
So Jay-Z dropping an interview dominates the timeline just because of his sheer gravity.
Exactly. Not because he's specifically aiming a laser pointer at J. Cole's news cycle.
Okay, so it's circumstantial overlap. I mean, the internet just loves a villain, right?
Well, they need a villain to keep the timeline moving.
Right. But even if the timing was a coincidence, that underlying tension you mentioned, that friction between CEO mentorship and an artist's desperate need for independence, that wasn't just a fan theory. That was the very real, very bruising dynamic J. Cole had to navigate when he first walked into the house that Jay-Z built.
Which brings us directly to the raw details of Cole's origin story.
Yes, as he laid it out to Cameron.
It's a fascinating look at the early days.
The imagery in that Talk with Free interview is just incredible. Like, picture J. Cole before the money, before the platinum plaques.
Just a hungry kid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's standing outside a Jay-Z event. He thinks it was either Baseline Studios or maybe the Rock the Mic tour. He wasn't completely sure. And he's clutching this beat CD.
Right.
But he didn't just burn a blank Maxwell disc and write his name on it in Sharpie, right?
Ah.
He went to his house, found his personal copy of Jay-Z's Volume 3 album.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he cracked open the jewel case and carefully slipped in a black and white printed cover of Jay's upcoming American Gangster album.
So he curated the whole visual presentation.
Perfectly. He had 2 beats with hooks ready to go, 7 other raw beats.
Right.
And he just stood outside in the freezing cold, calculating the odds.
Hoping for that one magical moment.
Hoping Jay-Z would walk out, take the CD, go upstairs, put it in the stereo, and immediately send security down to say, get that kid up here right now.
I mean, it's the ultimate mythical hip-hop fairy tale. The street corner discovery.
And what actually happened? Jay-Z completely ignored him.
Yep. Walked right past
The
it.
fairy tale just did not happen.
It's such a brutal reality check, but it perfectly illustrates the wall between the mythological rap game and the actual corporate music industry.
They're not the same thing at all.
Not at all. And what's even more revealing about that era are the bizarre, almost arbitrary gatekeeping hurdles Cole faced before he ever even got into a boardroom.
Oh, this part blew my mind.
During the interview, Cole actually confirms a long-standing rumor about 50 Cent and G-Unit passing on signing him.
Over his clothes.
Precisely. You really have to understand the aesthetic dominance of G-Unit in the mid-2000s to get this.
It was all about the oversized clothing, the durags.
A hyper-masculine, bulletproof vest aesthetic.
Yeah.
And 50 Cent allegedly looked at J. Cole, who was wearing tighter, more fitted jeans, carrying a backpack, leaning into that conscious, collegiate vibe.
Like the whole backpack rapper thing.
Exactly. 50 Cent looked at that and decided he just didn't fit the brand.
The sonic talent was completely irrelevant to him.
Irrelevant because the visual packaging didn't align with the dominant market trend at that very moment. It really shows how superficial the industry's risk assessment could be back then.
He was literally judged on his tailoring, not on his bars.
Yeah.
But eventually, this highly respected executive named Mark Pitts hears Cole's song, Lights Please.
Which is a classic now.
Right. And he actually listens to the vision, cuts through all that aesthetic bias, and gets the music directly to Jay-Z.
And that is the exact moment Cole becomes Roc Nation's first signee.
The door finally opens for him.
Finally.
But even then, walking through that door wasn't at all what he expected.
Not in the slightest.
Cole talks about how he was raised on the mythology of the 1990s label dynamic. He expected the Death Row Records vibe or the early Rockefeller Records vibe.
He wanted that squad era mentality.
Exactly. Where the boss has his arm around your shoulder in the studio, coaching you through your verses, taking you to the club.
Building this massive, impenetrable family unit.
Yeah. But instead, he walks into Roc Nation and he gets Jay-Z in straight CEO mode.
It wasn't a family. It was a massive corporate financial investment.
Right. You got a couple of brief pep talks in a sterile office, and then the directive was basically, all right, kid, sink or swim, go figure it out.
Dame Dash. Dame Dash got the biggest beef with Jay-Z, hands down. Obviously, they built Rockefeller Records from the ground up, but things went sour, and Dame got played by Hov in the end. There are different sides to the story, but here's what Dame feels about it.
Why did it go left?
It didn't go left.
Okay, it didn't go left.
Why you think it went left?
Hold on.
What are you talking about? Rockefeller?
Rockefeller.
I would.
The perception of why Rockefeller ended is different. You're aware of this.
It's because Jay did what he did. He didn't want to pay three. He made a move on his friends. It is what it is, bro. I don't want to talk about it.
No. All I'm saying is the perception of why Rockefeller ended is not that Dame Dash wanted to move on and do something different. That's not, I believe you, that's not the perception.
Who cares?
But you're aware of that.
Because sometimes you got to Machiavelli yourself to be left alone.
Then, on Adam 22's No Jumper podcast, Dame Dash wasn't holding nothing back on how he felt about him.
Yeah, I gotta crack this one open. There's a big conversation going on about this NFL thing. Do you think that Jay did Jermaine Dupri dirty with this situation that's been described multiple times? I've just seen Funkmaster Flex talk to JD and confirm that that's what happened. I'm sure you feel some type of way about this.
I mean, everybody knows Jay. Like that, everyone knows that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Does that surprise you at all? Because that seems particularly shady.
Listen, if you ask anyone in the industry, it's a common knowledge that Jay ain't. You know what I'm saying?
Define ain't for our audience.
He's
here.
about the bag. You
Right.
know, we all know that. It's about he's self-preserving. Period. Like, you know, it's just that the people he does it to don't have like Beyonce next to him. They don't have that kind of a power. But you know, this dude here, everyone's looking. So I just think he kind of like, you know, like he used to do that. He like he's like, it's not even like a secret. You know, he do that to me with girls. Like, you know, he'll be like, you know, I'll be talking to a chick and I'll be like, yo, she asked me to do this, that, and the third. And he'd be like, I wouldn't do it. And then the next day he's wifed her. And I'd be like, oh, that's some funny.
Right.
You know what you're dealing with when you deal with Jay. You know, Jermaine Dupri, I feel like, you know, for me to talk, it's hard because I can't completely be objective, but it's the news of today. But I just think if you look under the hood, all the answers will reveal themselves. There's always been a pattern with that dude. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Y'all know what it is. It's just everyone always forgives him.
Yeah.
You know, he's like Trump in that way. So he could do anything, say anything, and you know, look at it. And everyone goes with, I guess, they just go with the popular sometimes, you know. But again, it always reveals itself in some way. It's what he does. We're used to it. He just did it at a bigger level. Who cares? I think, you know, it is what it is. If y'all choose to believe, that's on y'all. I don't care about a deal. Like I said, if I'm gonna hear about a deal because I'm a businessman, my boss thoughts are, what's the deal? And what could the deal be? So I'm like, what is he like producing the Super Bowl? Is he DJing? Like, what is it? Are they making albums? Are they becoming a record company? Like, what the is the
initial freezing corporate isolation is the crucible that formed him.
It really was.
And Jay-Z actually addresses this exact narrative in his GQ interview. He knows people thought Roc Nation didn't nurture Cole properly.
Oh, he's very aware of that criticism.
Yes, but his counter-argument is really fascinating. He says, no, we believed in him enough to let him find his journey.
Wow.
He says, and he found his path. It took him a minute, but he found his way.
And to be fair, it wasn't that Jay-Z locked him in a basement and threw away the key, right? He did offer tools.
He did.
But they were the tools of a pop executive, not an underground mentor.
Right, like setting Cole up in the studio with Stargate.
Yeah, and for context for you listening, Stargate was this massive global pop production duo. I mean, they were manufacturing absolute nuclear hits for Rihanna, Wiz Khalifa, Katy Perry.
Jay-Z was essentially sliding a mainstream cheat code across the table to J. Cole.
Just handing it to him.
Yeah, but Jay-Z explicitly notes that he never forced Cole to use it.
Which is key.
He contrasts it with his own early protege, Memphis Bleek. He says, I force Bleek to make records, but for J. Cole, he has to find his own direction.
And the introduction to Stargate is such a crucial detail.
It really highlights the stylistic clash, because Stargate's sound is heavily synthesized, meticulously polished pop music.
And J. Cole was a crate-digging, sample-heavy producer. He worshipped a tribe called Quest and Nas.
Exactly. So Jay-Z putting them in a room together was a test.
A huge test.
It was like, are you going to conform to the guaranteed platinum sound of the moment, or are you going to stubbornly build your own sonic architecture?
And Cole chose the hard way.
He absolutely did. He had to learn the industry by bumping his own head against the wall repeatedly.
He had to figure out his own rollout strategy, find his own core audience, and basically establish his own identity without the crutch of Jay-Z micromanaging his track list.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, think about that for a second. Imagine finally landing the absolute dream job, the one you've obsessed over since you were a teenager.
You'd be ecstatic.
Right. You get the badge, you walk into the building, and you realize the warm, guiding mentorship you craved is actually just a cold, ruthless trial by fire.
It would feel like a betrayal of everything you hoped for.
Totally. But for Cole, that profound isolation forced a reaction. He realized nobody was coming to save him.
So he built his own infrastructure.
Which eventually became the Dreamville label. Because Jay-Z forced him to be independent, Cole developed this fiercely independent, almost rigid moral compass.
And he was going to need every single ounce of that independent moral compass to survive what was coming.
Oh, man. The radioactive environment that was about to consume the entire genre.
Because the landscape he was operating in was about to become incredibly hostile.
The big beef.
Yes.
The absolute nuclear fallout of 2024 between Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
This specific event is where the divergence between public expectation and personal peace becomes the absolute central theme of both of these source interviews.
It's the anchor of the whole thing.
Let's look closely at J. Cole's timeline as he explains it to Cameron.
The scene he paints is so vivid and honestly chaotic. It's late at night, Cole is minding his own business, and suddenly his phone starts vibrating off the table.
Just blowing up.
Yeah. He gets sent a leaked version of a Metro Boomin track where Kendrick Lamar takes direct, aggressive shots at him and Drake.
Out of nowhere.
Right. And Cole listens to it, and he says he had two immediate conflicting reactions.
Okay.
His first reaction, just as a pure fan of the sport of hip-hop, was, this verse is hard.
He respected the craft.
Exactly. He heard the cadence, the wordplay, and he respected the pen game. But his second overriding reaction, not now.
That not now carries so much psychological weight, doesn't it?
It really does.
Cole explains that he was absolutely depleted at that moment. He had just finished a grueling arena tour with Drake.
He had just surprise dropped an entire project, too.
Right. And he was agonizing over the final touches of his magnum opus, his album called The Fall Off,
which he had been meticulously constructing for nearly a decade.
He was experiencing profound creative burnout. He describes being in a deeply negative space regarding music in general.
He just wanted to get this monolithic album out of his hands and be done with the cycle.
But the internet doesn't care about your creative burnout.
Not at all. The machine just kicks into overdrive. His phone is blowing up with executives, peers, and friends all screaming at him, press the button.
You have to respond immediately.
Yeah, you can't let this slide. He's basically staring down the barrel of an internet algorithm that demands blood and immediate retaliation.
And he's terrified of the public perception.
Oh, he admits that.
Mm-hmm.
He's terrified that if he doesn't respond, the culture will brand him a coward.
And they will never let him release his 10-year project in peace.
Exactly. So, operating purely out of fear, he flies to the Bahamas with his producer, T-Minus.
The choice of environment is interesting, isn't it? Escaping to the Bahamas to write a war record.
It is a bit ironic. And they do these things called 7-minute drills.
Right.
It's a creative exercise to overcome writer's block, where you basically force yourself to write and record a verse in exactly 7 minutes.
Yeah.
No second guessing allowed.
Just raw output.
Yeah. He uses this frantic artificial pressure cooker to write a diss track aimed back at Kendrick. He shoots back.
But the psychological toll of that decision is immediate and crushing.
It broke him.
Cole describes the aftermath as feeling spiritually fraudulent. He knew the disses he recorded were light.
They were performative.
Exactly. He calls them survivable blows, meant to appease the crowd without doing real damage.
He realized in real time that he had compromised his own soul, his own truth, just for the sake of feeding a public narrative.
He uses this really striking metaphor in the interview.
Well, was it?
He says it felt like pulling out a gun just to shoot someone in the toe so you can tell the neighborhood you shot them.
Wow.
It wasn't authentic to his actual deep-rooted love and respect for Kendrick Lamar.
And it ate him alive.
Yeah.
He said he couldn't sleep. He felt this heavy, dark cloud because he basically misrepresented his core character to the entire world.
And that internal crisis is what leads to the unprecedented moment at Dreamville Fest.
Yeah, J. Cole stands on stage in front of tens of thousands of people in person and millions streaming online.
And he publicly apologizes to Kendrick Lamar.
And then he pulls the diss track off all streaming platforms.
Which is unheard of.
Completely.
Yeah.
Now, the purest hip-hop fan, the barbershop crowd, they called him soft.
They said he ruined his legacy.
They said his career as a top-tier MC was officially over.
50 Cent. You probably remembered when 50 Cent called Jay-Z overrated.
Who is the most overrated hip-hop star of all time?
I mean, Jay-Z, he would say he was overrated. He'd rather be overrated than underpaid.
That's not all. Jay once came out to say in an interview that he's not afraid of 50 Cent. Well, he actually said no one is afraid of 50 Cent.
My criticism of Kanye, and I do want you to answer on this behalf if you can, is that I think he's picking his victims a bit too easily.
I don't
think he would have done that if that was 50 up there, you know?
I think he would have done that if that was 50 Cent. No one's scared of 50 Cent.
Well, you know what I mean.
I want everyone to be clear. No one's scared of 50 Cent. So I just think that that's what he believed. I think it was rude. I thought it was inappropriate. And I told him as much. But I don't think he was wrong.
You can bet 50 wasn't going to let that slide. He had to throw some shade back at Hov.
When he's saying he's not afraid of 50 Cent, why would you have to make that clear when no one's ever asked me if I'm afraid of Jay-Z? There ain't never been no 50 Cent Jay-Z conversation, questioning whether there was a competition between the two. There's a huge difference in energy internationally in 50 Cent Jay-Z. His largest selling record sold 430-something thousand copies. My largest selling records, 2 of them sold 5 million. And let them be fooled in America and think there's a competition there.
He continued the conversation in another interview.
So Jay-Z recently said something crazy about he said nobody's scared of 50 Cent. I think it was kind of taken out of context a little bit, but what do you think about it?
I don't think it was taken out of context. No, I think the guy who was talking to him made him feel like a punk. You see what I'm saying? So he had to say, yo, nobody scared of 50. Let's get this clear. Nobody is scared of 50. But I'm not the issue. Him making you feel like a punk is the issue. And at the end of the day, I look at it and people don't assess themselves. Even really intelligent people. Jay's a smart guy. You know what I'm saying? He'll analyze other people and other things that they're doing and not actually look at what's happening to him and his transition and difference. But right now, he's in a real safe space. He created this real safe aura. This is why people walking on the stage and why it's happening like that. A lot of it wouldn't have been like that if he actually dealt with his issues himself. Now, he always put somebody in front of him. When Jada came for him, he put Beanie in front of him. And Beanie went back and forth with Jadakiss. When Cam came for him, he put True Life in front of him. And they went back and forth. And he just didn't compete.
They've been going at it since '99. There was the time 50 called Jay's 444 album golf course music. And that other time he questioned Jay's look in an interview with Big Boy following his appearance at the Super Bowl.
And I'm like, that's when I start saying crazy stuff because I look and I go, oh, that should be homie, right? So you image yourself after a gay painter.
Okay.
Big homie want to look like a gay painter.
What are we talking about here?
We're talking about Basquiat. He wants to look like a gay painter.
He continued in another interview about how Eminem was a better selling artist than Jay.
No Eminem, no Rolls Royces and Ferraris for these that you see. They wouldn't be able to earn the same amount of money off the projects that they have going on because there wouldn't be that many consumers of them. So when they would look and go, oh, why he sold more records than the rest? Because he's white.
Points that they'll match, like M and J have points. M sold like 60 million records more than him. How you putting there like the equals? It's tough for me to say some of this. I sound like a hater, but I don't care.
And of course, he isn't going to let Hov off the hook without taking it to his wife, Beyonce.
Oh my God.
50's right-hand man, Tony Yayo, is keeping it 100 in this interview. When asked about the 50 and Jay situation, Yayo touched on Jay-Z's alleged move to block 50's Super Bowl performance, calling him a hater.
I mean, Jay-Z's on a whole nother level. He's like, but you know what I like about 50? 50's on a whole nother level, but he's still approachable. You still get to meet the people and Jay got to remember the people that made him. I'm not saying I don't got respect. I respect Jay-Z, 50, used to respect, Diddy, but all that crazy. But, I always respected him because I looked at, for New York, those were like the guys. You know what I'm saying? The guys with the most money and the most influence. So with Jay is like, when the last time you haven't seen Jay, so I think people are just going to say that. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I mean, Jay, you got to remember, he didn't want 50 at the Super Bowl. That was crazy. Come on.
Wait, Jay didn't want 50 at the Super
You didn't
Bowl?
know that? Yeah, he didn't
Well,
want
I remember Eminem pushed for it.
That was some haters. Yeah,
I remember Eminem
yeah.
was like, I'm not going to do it unless 50 does it. I heard that.
Yeah, and
But I didn't know that Jay was trying to stop it.
I don't think Jay. I don't know. 50 never told me that, but I don't think Jay wanted him there. I don't know.
Because of what, some of the
I mean,
back
you
and
know,
forth back in the
it's
day?
competition. You got to think 50 always been competition for Jay. Remember, I'm about $1. What the f is 50 Cent?
That was a long time ago.
That was what, 9? What was
Yeah,
that?
but,
9?
but after that, they did a song together. Remember
Yeah,
the whole,
of course.
the
But
whole
50
Gina
was
Sneaker
50 was
thing?
always competition for. Then remember Jay said, "Yo, 50's coming." He told Siegel and them, and Memphis Bleak and all them.
Yeah.
And come on, 50's like he's on a whole nother level. You got to remember he came after Jay and Rockefeller. G Unit came, and people might on G Unit, but we with Eminem, Dr. Dre, 50 Cent, nobody has outsold us, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody has had the effect that we had. When we go overseas, they call us the caviar rap groups. When I go overseas, no disrespect, I love drill, but I don't hear drill in Sweden and all these places. I don't hear that. Because these people are still stuck on the hip-hop culture.
Jazzo.
Overthink it cautiously. Though your main A spoon, the course was me. Out of necessity, but hatred had you crossing me. The floss and box, the Porsches B. Yo, let me find out. You lost it, B. Thoughts on my fifth, tripping like a up faucet, B. Rap game, put in work. Crack game, put in work. You mean jazz wouldn't work? Grimy like you get put in dirt.
Getting dissed by outsiders is one thing, but getting ignored by those you put on, that's a whole nother level of hurt. Jazzo knew that pain all too well, courtesy of his former protege, Jay-Z. Before Jay-Z became a billionaire mogul, Jazzo took him under his wing. Even as Jay's star rose, he continued collaborating with Jazz. But by 2002, Jazz was feeling played. Jay contributed just one verse to Jazz's new album and ghosted the music video shoot. Here's Jazzo's take on the situation.
I didn't get a call back saying that he said that he's not going to do it.
He just didn't show up.
Yeah. We saw a stretch limo come out there. I don't know if he was in it.
Okay.
I don't know if he was in it or not, but he didn't come out. And it's funny how like back then I took it so much to heart, but hindsight, I look at a few different things. You know, I feel like, in all honesty, yeah, you know, I do deserve the respect. So like, you know, yay or nay, like, just let me know. If I don't like the answer, that's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I respect a response.
Well, you had a quote when you talked about that. You said, everything that I did for him as far as his career was concerned, I did all those things to be an agreeable person. The feeling just wasn't reciprocated in the way that I understood it. I feel there's a code of friendship. I never thought that we would do things together in the business as business. I thought it was all personal, that we were on the same page. Obviously we weren't. I really found out when I tried to get back in the game. So it seems like that was the point that the two of y'all, you know, stopped getting along. You dropped It's Over. It was a Jay-Z diss record.
He's a fake friend. My patience is. Yo, haters flowing. Shit got you going over. Coy amnesia, you. Non-believer, you. Don't you know? No.
But Cole tells Cameron it was the single most liberating moment of his entire life.
Because he corrected a spiritual wrong.
Exactly.
And this is where we have to heavily cross-reference with Jay-Z's GQ interview.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Jay-Z drops an absolute bombshell perspective on this exact same beef, and his conclusion aligns with Cole's in a way that really challenges the fundamental architecture of the genre.
Let's get into that, because Jay-Z was literally caught in the crossfire of the aftermath of that beef.
He was.
Fast forward a bit, and Jay-Z, who helps curate the Super Bowl halftime show, selects Kendrick Lamar to perform.
Right.
And the internet immediately spins a conspiracy theory that Jay-Z picked Kendrick purely as a strategic vindictive move to spite Drake.
The theories were everywhere.
But Jay-Z dismisses that noise entirely in the interview. He states flatly that he picked Kendrick because Kendrick was having an undeniable monster year.
It was the objectively correct artistic choice for the platform.
Exactly. But then, Jay-Z pans out. He looks at the scorched earth left behind by the 2024 battle, and he says something that honestly shook me when I read it.
It raises a huge question. He outlines the original foundational pillars of hip-hop culture, right?
Breakdancing, graffiti, DJing, and battling.
Yes, and he systematically breaks down their current relevance. He notes that breakdancing has largely vanished from the core commercial culture.
It has.
Graffiti evolved and was basically absorbed into high art galleries. The role of the DJ has been completely sidelined.
He even jokes that he doesn't have a clue who Drake's DJ is, whereas in the past, the DJ was the marquee name.
Like Grandmaster Flash or Jam Master Jay.
Exactly.
So that leaves battling as the last remaining highly visible interactive pillar of the original culture.
But Jay-Z's ultimate conclusion. He suggests that battling, in its current form, might need to die. I have to pause here because I aggressively pushed back against this when I read it.
I'm sure a lot of people did.
I mean, I'm listening to Jay-Z, half of the greatest rap battle in history, say this, and my immediate reaction is, isn't hip-hop inherently, biologically, a gladiator sport?
It's built on competition.
Right. The genre wasn't born in a corporate boardroom. It was born in the parks of the Bronx.
People plugging sound systems into street lamps.
Stealing electricity and sparring with words to prove who had the supreme regional dominance. The entire foundation is built on, I am better than you and I will prove it on this microphone.
That is the essence of it.
So if we neuter that competitive spirit, if the titans on top refuse to fight, don't we lose the very essence of the culture?
It's a huge risk.
Are we just supposed to accept a sterilized corporate version of rap where everyone just smiles and counts their money?
It's a profound tension, and your reaction is exactly why Cole faced so much backlash for his apology. But you have to listen closely to Jay-Z's actual argument here. He isn't arguing against the spirit of competition itself.
Okay.
He is arguing against the toxicity that a modern digital technology has injected into that competition.
The environment around it.
Exactly. He explicitly compares the 2024 landscape to his own legendary battle with Nas in 2001.
Takeover versus Ether, the gold standard.
Yes. Back then, there was no social media. The mechanics of the battle were entirely different.
You went into a studio, you recorded a track, it got played on the radio.
And the fans debated it on the block, in the barbershops, or on early message boards. It was contained.
And most importantly, you moved on.
Precisely. Today, the mechanics are weaponized. As Jay-Z points out, you have these massive, decentralized digital pods.
These stan armies.
Right. And they don't just want a lyrical victory on a beat. They want to destroy the opponent's actual physical life.
They want absolute annihilation. It's terrifying.
Yes. The algorithm incentivizes extreme escalation. These armies dox family members. They try to ruin marriages.
They drag young children into the crossfire.
They attempt to dismantle a person's entire character, their business partnerships, and their livelihood. It's algorithmic engagement farming, disguised as hip-hop purism.
And Jay-Z literally says the technology has made the Coliseum too toxic to sustain the art. The environment takes up all the oxygen in the room.
Precisely. The Coliseum isn't about two gladiators testing their skills anymore.
What is it about?
It's about the mob in the stands demanding a public execution simply because it drives their engagement metrics.
Wow. When you put it like that, it's sickening.
What we're observing in both J. Cole and Jay-Z is a profound, hard-won level of maturity.
Yeah.
Both of these men reached a critical juncture where human decency, spiritual peace, and mutual respect simply outweigh the culture's relentless demand for a circus.
Cole stepped away to save his soul and his fundamental love for the creative process.
And Jay-Z is advocating for stepping away to preserve the basic humanity of the artists involved.
It's a really sobering realization. Because walking away from a rap battle when the entire world is watching takes an immense amount of ego death.
Most people couldn't do it.
But it raises a different, maybe more complicated question.
Which is it?
How do these men protect their peace when the attacks aren't just lyrical jabs on a leaked track?
Right.
What happens when the attacks manifest as actual, real-world legal threats, massive civil lawsuits, and deep personal betrayals from the people closest to them?
This brings us to a much darker, much more tangible reality for both men, particularly for Jay-Z in 2025.
Yeah, the GQ interview shifts gears here and gets incredibly heavy.
It really does.
Jay-Z describes 2025 as a hard, really hard year.
Yeah.
He kind of drops the invincible billionaire persona.
He's very vulnerable.
Yeah, he admits he was heartbroken and filled with uncontrollable anger.
And this wasn't about rap politics or album sales.
No, this was about a massive civil lawsuit that was eventually dropped and completely dismissed.
But the emotional toll it took on him while it was happening was staggering.
What's vital to unpack here is the specific mechanism Jay-Z uses to process this level of corporate betrayal.
He relies heavily on his foundational moral framework.
Exactly. Which he openly and frequently admits he learned in the illicit street economy before he was ever famous.
He talks about a very specific code of conduct.
Yeah. Even when he was engaged in the drug trade in his youth, there was a strict, unbreakable line. No women, no kids.
You didn't cross certain boundaries no matter how much money was on the table.
Your word and your reputation were your only true currency.
Jaguar Wright. Jaguar Wright's voice is being heard loud and clear, and she's calling out Jay-Z for his alleged wrongdoing. On Piers Morgan Uncensored, Wright broke down Jay-Z's shady dealings.
You want to know why there's no vindication for me? Because for 4 years, I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters. And the victim-making machine kept going on.
Jay-Z has been notable by his silence since these charges were brought against Diddy. Why do you think that is?
Because that's what he does. He starts little fires everywhere. Forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. That changes now, Sean. You must respond. You have no choice. Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, Robert Kelly, Sean Combs have one person in common, professionally and privately. Sean Carter.
One of the biggest bombs drops was when she exposed Hov for an alleged pregnancy with a mistress while he was married to Beyonce.
So, Jack, wouldn't you say...
When I say Corey, I'm talking about Kathy White.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was about to ask.
Jay-Z's pregnant mistress, who died of an imaginary aneurysm, just like the woman who was best friends with Kim and Kimura, who wrote the book Bling and died as soon as it made the bestsellers list.
Kanye. From producing Jay's hits to creating that epic joint album, their history runs deep. You probably figured that their bond's broken. Well, Kanye is someone who has no problem airing out some business. He once shared his side of the beef with Charlemagne.
So you feel like Jay was tossing you money as opposed to giving you information? Because you know the infamous line on 444 is, I gave Kanye 20 mil without thinking. He gave me 20 minutes on stage. What was he thinking? Oh, I think it was 20 mil without blinking, whatever it was. He gave me $20 million.
That concept that you gave me, that he gave me the money, that's what frustrated me, because actually the money he got from Live Nation. Roc Nation was managing me at the time. That's something normal that someone gives someone a touring deal. It was a touring deal. But the fact that it was worded that it came from him, I'm a very loyal, emotional, artist person, That made me feel like I owed more than just the money itself, to the fact that it came from him.
Jay said you went too far talking about his family. Do you feel that? You feel like you went too far?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. If we're family, if we're brothers, and we are family, then it's my family. Mm-hmm. If we're business associates and then it was too far.
Gotcha.
Respectfully, I gotta say, I was hurt about them not coming to the wedding. I understand they was going through some things, but if it's family, you're not gonna miss a wedding.
This is just on the okay. This is just on the CEO level. Jay or Dame? Just CEO.
Absolutely 1000% Dame Dash.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because Dame Dash,
explanation for this one.
Dame Dash the visionary.
Okay.
He the original black hipster. I'm the devil's worst nightmare. I'm Dame Dash with money.
Wow. I don't know how to take that one, but continue.
Right. And he's looking at the modern corporate boardroom, and he's looking at the civil legal system.
Yeah.
And he's having this jarring realization that the people in the tailored suits often operate with far less integrity than the people he hustled with in the Marcy projects.
The corporate world doesn't have a no women, no kids rule.
It's just ruthless, instant consequence and instant character assassination.
And this is where his internal code is truly tested against the corporate machine.
In high-stakes civil litigation, the standard advice from PR firms and corporate lawyers is almost always to settle.
Just make it go away.
Exactly. It's viewed purely as risk management. You pay a financial sum, you sign a non-disclosure agreement.
You make the headline disappear quietly.
And you protect the broader brand. But Jay-Z absolutely refused to play that corporate game.
He called his partner and drew a line in the sand. He said, "I can't take a settlement. It ain't in my DNA."
Because in the street economy he came from, taking a settlement isn't a clever risk management write-off.
No, it is viewed as a blatant admission of guilt that permanently bankrupts your reputation.
He applied street-level risk management to a corporate boardroom.
Which is fascinating. Yeah. He recognized that taking a cheap, quick settlement would be a violation of his core truth.
He told the interviewer he would literally die before doing that.
That is how deeply entrenched this code is.
He knew the immense public weight it would bring down on his family, too.
He talks about having to sit down with his wife and actively prepare her for the impending media storm.
He held on to the belief that the truth ultimately reigns supreme.
But he also admits a crucial vulnerability here. He says he couldn't have survived that period of uncontrollable anger without a carefully curated inner circle.
He didn't lean on yes men or industry sycophants.
No, he leaned on people who actually loved the human being, not the billionaire.
People who wouldn't just scatter like roaches when the controversy hit the timeline.
Right. Now, contrast that intense, almost militaristic defense mechanism with how J. Cole handled his own legal drama with Cameron.
It's a fascinating study in completely different emotional tools.
Because Cameron literally filed a lawsuit against Cole.
Which is wild because they are sitting right across from each other on camera having a calm conversation about it.
The context behind the lawsuit is almost absurd.
It really is.
Cole did a favor for Cameron. He recorded a guest verse for a song called 95 South.
And Cole says he knocked the verse out in, like, 15 minutes.
He didn't ask for a massive feature fee. He just wanted an interview swap later down the line for his own project.
Just a simple barter system.
But when Cameron finally came around to collect on that interview, Cole kept delaying it.
And it wasn't just a few weeks. It turned into years of delays.
Years. So Cameron, operating on his own code of respect and feeling deeply played and dismissed, files a lawsuit purely to get Cole's attention and force the issue.
Now, the typical ego-driven industry response from an artist of Cole's stature would be to countersue.
Or to ignore Cameron entirely, let the high-priced lawyers handle it, and create a permanent, lifelong enemy.
But Cole doesn't go to war. He agrees to walk right into the fire.
He goes on to Cameron's own show, into his territory, to explain himself face to face.
And the explanation he gives is so specific, so unbelievably geeky that you couldn't possibly make it up as a PR excuse.
I have to dive deep into this detail because it's just incredible.
Please do.
So Cole tells Cameron, look, the reason I kept delaying is because I was trapped in a studio trying to mix my new album.
Okay.
And he had this deep conversation with Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest.
Alleged.
Q-Tip, who is a sonic purist, told Cole that back in the golden era, groups like Mobb Deep mixed all their legendary gritty albums on actual physical analog tape, not on digital computers.
Right. Q-Tip argued that analog tape provides a specific warmth and texture that digital Pro Tools simply cannot replicate.
It's the ultimate pursuit of sonic perfection, the audiophile's holy grail.
Exactly.
So Cole, being the purist that he is, decides he needs to mix the fall-off on 2-inch analog tape to get that exact legendary warmth.
But what he didn't realize, and what he had to explain to Cameron, is that mixing on analog reels is a physical, grueling, logistical nightmare compared to modern software.
Yeah, because on Pro Tools, if you want to recall a mix and change the snare volume, you click a mouse and it takes 10 seconds.
On an analog tape machine, you have to physically route the signal.
We have to send every single track to a massive physical mixing board.
You have to manually dial in the EQ settings by hand.
You have to wait for the massive tape reels to literally spin and rewind.
You have to calibrate the machine.
A simple adjustment that takes moments digitally was suddenly taking him weeks and months of physical labor.
He was drowning in his own creative ambition.
He wasn't ignoring Cameron out of malice or disrespect. He was literally trapped in a studio with giant tape machines trying to learn a dying 1990s art form.
It's a perfect, almost tragicomic example of how a lack of communication breeds intense paranoia.
Totally. Cameron looked at the silence and saw intentional malice and disrespect.
While Cole is just experiencing a self-imposed technical nightmare.
But what's crucial to take away from this is how Cole actually diffuses the bomb.
He uses extreme empathy.
He looks Cameron dead in the eye and takes full accountability for his own flaws.
He says, I understand exactly why you felt played. If I were in your shoes and you went silent on me for years, I would have thought the exact same thing.
He completely disarms the conflict through radical transparency.
It's brilliant.
I look at it like comparing two different types of corporate security systems.
Okay, how so?
When the virus of the industry attacks, the lawsuits, the rumors, the anger Jay-Z's approach is to build a massive impenetrable firewall of absolute integrity.
You cannot breach his walls because they are built on street-tested truth and a refusal to compromise.
Exactly. J. Cole, on the other hand, operates more like an open-source debugging system.
He lowers his drawbridge.
He invites the attacker in and says, let me show you my mess, let me show you my anxiety, let's look at the broken code together.
And while those defense mechanisms are vastly different, they both require one vital shared ingredient to recharge and function.
Which is?
Immense periods of profound isolation.
Oh, yeah.
That technical nightmare with the tape machine being physically trapped in a studio for months, it highlights something critical about how both of these men survive.
Jay-Z retreats to his tight, fiercely protected family unit to recharge his batteries,
while Cole physically escapes the industry infrastructure.
He talks about needing intense solitude to write, not just locking the door of his home studio, but flying to a random hotel in a different time zone.
Completely alone for days on end.
Just to strip away the fame and reconnect with the feeling of being a hungry 16-year-old kid making beats in his childhood bedroom.
And reconnecting with that 16-year-old kid inside is exactly what seems to be driving the final twilight chapters of both of their careers.
Which brings us to the ultimate question of this entire deep dive.
Yes.
When you have accumulated all the wealth imaginable, you have all the fame, and you've survived the toxic beefs, the corporate lawsuits, and the industry betrayals.
What actually motivates you to get out of bed and get back in the studio?
What does the next evolution of a Titan look like?
For Cole, that next evolution looks remarkably like a mechanic trying to perfect an engine.
Or, as he describes it, trying to max out a character in a role-playing video game.
The analogy he uses in the interview is brilliant.
He says he started looking at his own career trajectory like a created player in NBA 2K.
He breaks down his own attributes.
He says when he was younger, in his mixtape era, his raw ferociousness and his bar sliders were maxed out at 100.
He was just hungry to prove he could out-rap anyone.
Then, as he evolved and released 2014 Forest Hills Drive, his storytelling and hook writing sliders hit 100.
But he admits his raw, competitive bars might have dipped a bit to accommodate the musicality.
He looked at his legacy, his entire body of work, and realized he had a very specific goal.
He didn't want to walk away from the microphone until every single attribute slider was maxed out at 100 simultaneously.
He wanted to leave absolutely zero creative potential on the table.
That relentless pursuit of the perfect maxed out stat sheet is exactly why he spent 10 grueling years crafting The Fall Off.
He was meticulously tweaking every single element of his craft.
And his vision for what happens after that album is utterly fascinating. It's what we might call the Pink Floyd blueprint.
Cole states that if he never drops another new album after The Fall Off, he is perfectly spiritually at peace.
He envisions a future where, stretching into his 60s, 70s, and 80s, he just tours his two undisputed masterpieces.
2014 Forest Hills Drive and The Fall Off.
He specifically references how Pink Floyd was able to tour the wall decades after its initial release because the art was so monolithic and undeniable.
He has finally found comfort in his catalog. The anxiety of chasing the next viral hit or staying relevant to the youth is just gone.
Which perfectly mirrors Jay-Z's search for honesty in his own future.
The GQ interviewer asks Jay-Z a very direct question. What does a great Jay-Z album actually sound like in the year 2026?
And Jay-Z's answer is brutally, refreshingly honest.
He admits he doesn't know.
He says he has scratch ideas recorded on his phone, but he calls them fiery and all bad.
Why? Because they just reflect his current heavy, angry mood from dealing with the lawsuits and the betrayals.
And he fundamentally refuses to put more negativity into the world just to fulfill a contract or feed the timeline.
He fundamentally refuses to reverse engineer a hit.
He talks about how cringe-inducing it is when older legacy artists try to adopt brand new slang or fake the aggressive energy of their youth just to chart on streaming platforms.
He accepts his age. He refuses to pretend it's 1996 anymore.
So if he isn't aggressively chasing the charts as a solo artist, where is he finding his fulfillment?
He says he is perfectly, deeply happy being what he calls a small cog, producing for his wife's massive stadium tours.
He loves stepping out of the spotlight and marveling at her technical ability.
Like her capacity to instantly recall a specific drum snare sound from a rehearsal 8 months prior.
And he speaks with this overwhelming, palpable pride about watching his daughter, Blue Ivy, perform on that tour.
He talks about her raw talent, her perfect pitch, how she can hear a complex song once and play it on the piano without any formal lessons.
But he emphasizes that he is most proud of her resilience and work work ethic.
He talks about how she faced intense viral criticism on her very first tour dates, but instead of folding, she fought through it.
She rehearsed harder.
And she learned to command a massive stadium stage in heels at just 13 years old.
This profound shift in focus, moving from personal, ego-driven glorification to fostering and protecting family legacy, is encapsulated in a really poignant story Jay-Z shares near the end of his interview.
Oh, this story's amazing.
He talks about being overseas, doing business with a Russian billionaire at a luxury hotel.
Jay-Z, being who he is, thought he was staying on the absolute highest, most exclusive penthouse floor of the building.
But during their meeting, the billionaire casually revealed that there was a secret, even higher floor that Jay-Z didn't even know existed.
Completely off the public elevator grid.
The billionaire's secret floor.
Right. And Jay-Z's takeaway from that moment wasn't petty jealousy or a desire to just buy a better hotel room.
It became a guiding metaphor for his life.
He says, I thought the highest floor in the building was the end of it. The next step is like owning the building.
But the truly profound part of the quote is how he believes you achieve that ownership.
You don't get there through cutthroat boardroom tactics or stepping on your peers.
He says you only get to that ultimate level if you stay childlike and stay curious.
I look at these two men sitting at the absolute apex of their culture, and if they aren't driven by money anymore...
Jay-Z explicitly says that whether your bank account has $100,000 or $1 billion, that numerical amount does not fundamentally change your personality.
Or define your morality.
Right.
So what is the actual goal? What is the point of continuing to play a game you've already comprehensively won?
The goal, as synthesized from the thousands of words in both of these extensive interviews, is pure intrinsic alignment.
It's no longer about competing with their peers, dominating a Billboard chart, or winning the approval of an algorithm.
It's about creating something timeless that is completely uncompromisingly honest to who they are right now, scars and all.
They have completely transcended the industry's traditional metrics of success.
First week sales, virality, rap beef victories.
They are now only competing against their own ultimate potential. They are focused entirely on building their own higher floors.
Let's take a breath and look at the sheer scope of the revelations we've explored today.
We started by dismantling the cynical, fan-driven sabotage myth, looking at the actual mechanics of the industry.
To see that Jay-Z's hands-off corporate mentorship wasn't a suppression of J. Cole, but the exact freezing crucible Cole needed to build his own independent empire.
We plunged into the dark, complicated reality of modern hip-hop, debating how toxic, algorithmic social media armies have essentially weaponized the rap battle.
Pushing titans like Cole and Jay-Z to prioritize their spiritual peace and humanity over the digital coliseum's demand for blood.
We saw the immense, quiet courage it takes to stand on a stage and publicly apologize when you feel spiritually fraudulent.
We analyzed the absolute fortitude it takes to protect your moral street code against corporate lawsuits and betrayals.
And finally, we learned what it actually takes to meticulously max out your personal attributes and reach a level of comfort where you no longer need the world's applause to validate your existence.
It is a remarkable, arduous trajectory from the relentless hunger of the streets to the quiet peace of true mastery.
I want to bring this right back to you. Look closely at your own life and your own trajectory right now.
Are you operating out of a frantic fear of what others think, trapped by the algorithms of your own industry or the toxic politics of your office?
Or are you actively, quietly building your own higher floor?
Are you doing the grueling analog tape level work to max out your true potential?
Or are you just playing a game designed by someone else's toxic rules?
And as you think about that, I will leave you with this final thought to mull over.
If the ultimate pinnacle of success in a hyper-competitive world is eventually realizing that you must refuse to compete on anyone else's terms,
does true mastery actually mean rendering yourself completely obsolete to the very culture that built you?
Jay-Z is trying to silence me, and I want to show the power of God and the power of the people. So that's why I'm giving out my phone number. I'm giving out free books. I'm trying to enlighten the public about people like Jay-Z who are put in place to mislead society, to mislead our culture. So I want people to basically stand with me against Jay-Z and whatever this agenda is.
Jigga, Sean Carter, Hov, Jay-Z, whatever you call him, you know who he is, and you know about the rumors circulating around him right now. Jay reached mogul status years ago and has reached the point where he's become a household name. Nowadays, he's known for his company Rock Nation, who partners with the NFL for the Super Bowl halftime show, which has created many debates over the internet. Across the years, Jay has made a multitude of connections at various levels, and with these connections comes notoriety, deals, alliances, and more. And you know what they say about birds of a feather, so prepare yourself for what you're about to watch. Who is Ronnie Bo? A lot of you have been waiting for things to blow up in Ho's face after all the Diddy headlines, and it looks like things are starting to develop. And the man leading the cavalry is a man named Ronnie Bo. Real name, Ronnie Martin. He first entered the music world by starting a career in the rap game. He grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, specifically in an impoverished neighborhood. Ronnie went into the path of music at an early age, but his music path led to his first issue with the industry. I'm sure we all remember and know the song Bedrock by Young Money, right? According to Ronnie, this song was created out of a demo for a song he called G-Spot.
Well, my manager at the time was this brother named Will Easter, and he taught me the music game, you know what I mean? And he kind of contradicted himself because he told me never send a demo to a label that's owned by an artist, you know what I mean? And then once I produced the demo, he sent it to Young Money anyway, you know what I'm saying? So then 6 months later, while, you know, my song was already popping on radio, and he had called me like, you heard Lil Wayne, them new song, Bedrock by Young Money? And I'm like, no. He like, man, listen to it, bro. They stole yo. I'm thinking like, bro, you just told me not to send it to him anyway, so I really wasn't even feeding into it. It kind of pissed me off so much, you know what I'm saying? That it was like, I prefer to believe that great minds think alike, and they didn't steal it, you know what I'm saying?
Just from listening to the hooks on both songs, the similarities are clear.
I'm having money flowing up, you wanna be mine. It's an ocean between your thoughts, you gotta wait shine. Yeah, I'ma work your knees till I hear you scream, stop it. I'ma make the bed rock till I feel your legs.
Unfortunately, Ronnie was incarcerated at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in Chicago, and while he did his time, he lost his love for making music, but found a different passion, writing books. According to him, these books land in the lane of self-empowerment for Black people, and the titles are The Holy Trap Scriptures, Value of the Vagina, How to Make Any Man Do Anything, and, most recently, Challenging the Illuminati, Paid Politicians versus Messy Musicians. Interestingly enough, R. Kelly did time at the same facility as him, and the two of them would begin conversating on a regular basis.
2019, I had to turn myself in because produced a rap song entitled Whack the Rats, and I actually mentioned a real federal informant in the song. So the government basically issued a U.S. Marshal warrant out for me. I turned myself in to MCC Chicago. R. Kelly got indicted, and he ended up in MCC Chicago with me. I wanted to write a book on the behalf of R. Kelly to get his side of the story, to basically counter the narrative of surviving R. Kelly, which was a docuseries on a Lifetime. I mean, they moved me to Unit 19 where R. Kelly was at. So at that point, I was able to like communicate with him every day and negotiate doing a book with him every day. We kind of became friends or associates or whatever you want to call it. He opened up to me about a lot of the inner workings in the music industry.
These conversations provided a lot of information for Ronnie Bo, and most importantly, allowed him to draw some parallels and conclusions about why he was shot by a hitman allegedly on behalf of Jay-Z's right-hand man, Ty Smith, and by proxy, Jay himself.
The informant is trying to tie Jay-Z into it. He's saying that he found out that Tyron Smith, who was known as Ty, was Jay-Z's close associate, is the one who paid the assassin or the shooter to shoot me. So they trying to tie this back to Jay-Z and saying that Jay-Z is trying to get me killed for exposing the things that I revealed, which I learned from R. Kelly.
The shooting. A court file shares that Ronnie was shot on May 30th, 2022. He was in Brooklyn, specifically the Marcy Projects area, and any Jay fan can tell you this is where he grew up. Ronnie shared that he doesn't know if Jay was directly involved, but rather that he believes another party is responsible.
Trying to get me to say, people saying like, just go on there and say, did he have you shot, bro? You gonna blow up. You gonna sell 1 million books. You gonna sell 1 million copies of your books, or the next album you put out gonna sell 1 million records. All you gotta do is say Jay-Z had you shot, bro. Just feed into it. And it's like, no, I'm not saying that. I rather believe that the government had me shot, which I truly believe because I have several lawsuits against the government, and it sounds like conspiracy theory, but they the biggest mob. You know what I'm saying? People will believe that that person had you shot for petty issues in the hood, but the government get down worse than that. You know what I'm saying? They behind.
Perhaps unsurprisingly, not too much has developed with the case for the shooting itself. Ronnie spoke on how a high-profile figure beating the case for a shooting is not something uncommon either.
See, look though, bro, like Diddy been a federal informant all his life. And, that was passed down to him from his father. His pops was a federal informant. So, like, I recently befriended Natanya, which is the lady that he shot in the face, and she was saying this. She didn't just start jumping on no bandwagon and start saying this now that Diddy going through all this trauma. She said that the night that she got shot, to the doctor and everybody, you know what I mean? So, I mean, this is an eyewitness. If I'd have shot somebody in the face and I don't work for the feds, I'd have been locked up for that. Diddy been had them connections. He posted did 20 years back then for shooting that lady in the face. You know what I'm saying? And I'm kind of upset about that now because that lady done vented to me and told me all type of things about them and what was going on with that situation. And she seemed like a good person. So I really feel for her. But that shows that like the feds, bro. Like another example, I have a nephew who locked up for a murder right now, right? And a federal informant actually did the murder, but they let him put the murder on somebody else that they want to get locked up. And it is probably because of me and the lawsuits that I won against them. Then I have another associate, Dante Rousey. He locked up right now for 4 murders, bro. 4 homicides. He doing like 4 life sentences for this right now. And a federal informant did these murders, but they allowed the informant to put the murders on my guy Tate. So it's like that goes on, bro, on a small level and on a major level, like with Diddy and them. He a federal informant, so he shot this lady in the face, but you tied in, so okay, let's put this on Sean. And what she saying, Sean had a gun too, you know what I mean? But let's put this all on Sean, and you don't have to deal with this situation, you know? Pay a lawsuit, whatever, but you won't do no time.
During a recent run of interviews, Ronnie has name-dropped Jay-Z, R. Kelly, and Diddy. If you've kept up with the news, you're well aware of the current situation Diddy is going through. R. Kelly went through a similar situation in the past few years. But if you're old enough, you're aware his first situations like this happened back in the 2000s. Jay is not a name we associate with the behavior of these two men. Well, not at first. Just in the past few days, a lawsuit was filed against him in the case of him and Diddy.
There are more sex assault accusations connected to the case against Sean Diddy Combs. The latest involves hip-hop mogul Jay-Z, who issued a vehement denial. This morning, a blistering response from Jay-Z after he was accused of sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl more than 2 decades ago. The billionaire hip-hop mogul was added to an existing civil lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, citing an alleged incident after the 2000 VMAs, where the victim claims she was drugged and assaulted by both Diddy and Jay-Z while a third celebrity watched.
The judge has actually agreed that the victim can remain anonymous and that the case can proceed. So there seems to be a little bit more to this case.
Jay-Z vehemently denying the claim, writing, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away." Also saying, "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down and explain the cruelty and greed of people. I mourn yet another loss of innocence." Jay-Z also attacked the attorney behind the lawsuit, Tony Busby, who fired back saying, "I won't be bullied or intimidated." Busby is behind at least 20 of the sexual assault lawsuits against Combs, who calls Busby's lawsuits shameless publicity stunts. Combs' statement went on to say he has never or trafficked anyone. Combs will stay in jail until his trial in May, but he has appealed the most recent decision to deny him bail. That ruling should come later this week.
Ronnie Bo was ahead of this when he spoke on the Inside True Crime YouTube channel.
Leah was allegedly 15 when she allegedly married R. Kelly and was allegedly having sex with R. Kelly. But it's like the public failed to realize or forgot that Jay-Z was also involved with Aaliyah while she was, and he was involved with Foxy Brown. One of his first biggest hits was with Foxy Brown, and she was 15 while Jay-Z was 27.